Hi there, this video is just to run through for you the key features of our plan for welcoming all of our children back to school. It's going to go through for you a section at a time, the key things you need to be aware of, what we might need you to help us with, and how things are going to look for children. We're really excited to see you all soon, and I hope this is helpful. So the first thing that's going to look a little bit different is drop-off and collection of children. So what we've done is put in place a one-way system. So that will mean the entrance will be through the main gates, heading towards a school building, along the playground and out the gate the other side of the playground. So that's to help our families to distance on our site and to make sure that we can all keep that space where we need to. So as part of that, our doors will open at 8:45. Children will not stay on the playground, will not line up, and unfortunately there won't be any playtime before school starts. Obviously we will have playtime throughout the day, but what we'd ask at the moment is that as soon as you arrive on site, you follow that one-way system, drop the children to the doors, and then they'll come straight into school. So there won't be a member of staff on duty on the playground, and therefore children need to stay the responsibility of whoever's dropping them off until they are inside the building. So play equipment, etc. will be closed in the mornings. The main front door to school will be the entrance and exit for Ruby class. So that's any child who's in reception, year 1 or year 2. So Sapphire children, year 3, 4 or 5, will then enter through the door on the far side of the playground. So if you're a parent or carer with a child in both classes, you'll come through the main front gate, head towards the reception door, main office door. Ruby children will be dropped off at that door. A member of staff from their class will be there to greet them. They will then go straight into school. You'll then carry on through the playground gate up to the far door on the playground, where a member of Sapphire staff will be waiting for Sapphire children. Sapphire children will head straight in, and then we'd ask parents and carers to leave on the gate on the far side of the playground. That's so that we can make sure that we've got sufficient distance between everyone on site, but also so that we can get children in as quickly as possible to help make hand washing and that sort of thing easier as we get through the door. All children will be asked to sanitise their hands on arrival, and then they will wash their hands as soon as we possibly can once they're inside. So that staggered start a little bit will help to do that. So as I say, the doors will open at 8:45, and you are then free to drop your child at any point between 8:45 and 9 a.m. End of the day will be exactly the same, but in reverse. So parents or carers will come in through the main front gate. Children will remain inside. Staff will dismiss the children from inside. So again, there'll be a member of staff on each door. If you've got a child in Ruby class or Sapphire class, you follow the one-way system, and you'll collect your child from Ruby class door, follow one round to collect somebody from Sapphire, follow one round outside to the far door. If you've just got Sapphire, obviously you can head straight round to Sapphire following that one-way system, and likewise if you've just got a child in Ruby class, follow the one-way, pick up Ruby class and then head on out through the main gate. Unfortunately, due to the really teeny tiny nature of our site and the corridors and meeting rooms and things inside, at the moment we're not going to be able to meet with parents and carers inside the building. And that's because we just haven't got a space where we can allow enough space and ventilation for that at the moment. So what we say at the minute is that of course any messages can be passed on if you're comfortable to do so at the door to the member of staff who is there for that class. Anything else will need to be done over the phone at this point in time. So that'll be ringing the front office, and then you can arrange an appointment to speak to whichever member of staff you require. And then obviously as soon as we're able to review that, we will do. So the class groups will remain their bubbles for the time being, and Ruby and Sapphire class will not mix. So we won't be having whole schools assemblies, things like that at the moment. So what will happen is that Ruby and Sapphire will be on slightly different timetables to make sure that they're not in shared spaces at the same time. We've also looked at the arrangement of the classrooms to make sure we can have sufficient ventilation and some space. So although children won't be in desks sitting individually in Victorian style, we have arranged the tables so that staff and children are facing forward and not directly facing each other as much as we possibly can, to try and limit some of that face-to-face time that they might have. Ruby class is still going to be an early years environment. There will still be free flow activities. There will still be open access to resources. It might be slightly fewer resources than usual, and those will have been chosen so that we can make sure we can carefully disinfect them really, really regularly. So the groups will stay separate, and any equipment that has to be shared between them, so the playground equipment, things like that, will be allocated to a class at a time, cleaned, disinfected, and kept in a 72-hour quarantine in between sharing, just to try and make sure that that transmission between groups is as minimal as it possibly can. So break time and lunch times will look a little bit different. So morning break times will be done at separate times. So each class will use the outside space and the facilities at different times, and then staff will disinfect any equipment that's been used or shared in between break times. And then at lunch, we'll have 2 sittings. So Ruby class will eat their lunch at 12 o'clock, while Sapphire class go outside and have their break first. So Sapphire class will then come inside at 12:30 and eat, while Ruby swap over and head outside. We'll still use a one-way system around school, so they'll have their own entrance and exits to the hall, so they won't cross in the corridor. And again, we'll disinfect the hall and the tables and everything in between sittings. Hot dinners can still be provided as usual. What's really, really important though is that we will now be a completely cashless site. So all school meal orders and payments must go through parent pay. Mrs. Tanner sent you the details of that before summer holidays. If you've got any issues with accessing your parent pay account, please do get in touch with her via the office, which will be a phone call at the moment, or you can email office@Pebworth, or myself if you're having any problems with it, and we can get that set up for you. So on the first 2 days back, on the 3rd and 4th, we'll only be able to provide school meals for free school meals children, and those will be packed lunches for those 2 days while the system's all being set up. Full meals, as usual, will resume from the 7th of September. So if you would like your child to have a hot meal, you need to make sure you've logged into Parent Pay, ordered their food and paid on there before then. We will not be able to accept any cash in the office, and as I've said, unfortunately we won't be able to allow parents and carers into the building, at least initially. So if you do have any issues, please do ring Mrs. Tanner and she'll be able to help you out over the phone. Water machines have been adapted, so we've got some special taps where you don't actually have to touch the nozzle to refill the water bottles at the moment. That will need to be supervised by staff still, and that will still need to be done as little as possible. So please do make sure that your child's got a really big labelled drinks bottle with them, that it's got their water in for the day, and if possible that they can have enough with them for the day. That would really, really help us out with that. Break and lunchtime will be outside as much as we possibly can be. So if it's drizzly, we'll probably still head out. So please make sure that your child's got suitable clothing for all weathers really. Waterproof coat and some shoes that you're happy for them to get wet would be great. Obviously, if it's torrential, we won't go outside and we'll stick to our usual wet weather playtime plans. However, where we can get outside, we will do. So please do prepare the children for that in terms of what clothing they've got in school. So as I mentioned, the curriculum has been redesigned to make sure that we can really focus on our reading, writing and maths core skills to make sure we can get everybody back up to speed as quickly as possible. So from the 7th of September, we will start that process, which is going to involve lots of little individual assessments on really core skills so that we can drill down into exactly what it is children need some more support with before we move on. Our learning projects have also been redesigned and the whole curriculum has been remapped, so there'll be lots of exciting learning opportunities getting started for children from the get-go. We're also preparing those same resources so that should a child have to self-isolate, or unfortunately we have to have any further school closures, we will have a pack of printed resources for at least a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, of what they would be doing in school as normal that we can send home with you. And we're looking at a longer term kind of contingency plan should we be in this situation again. What is going to continue to be really, really important is home reading. Always has been important, and it doubly is now. So we will continue to send home reading books, but obviously there's going to have to be some changes about how we change and check those books because they're going to be coming to and from school site. So reading books will be sent home as normal, but there will be one changeover day. So on a Wednesday, all books will be checked and changed. Any books returning from home will be wiped down and quarantined until the following Monday. So they won't be put into general circulation of our books until at least the Monday, and they'll have been disinfected to make sure that anything that may have been on there has died off by then. You will also still have access to Education City and to Bug Club, where you can get a whole range of personalised activities for your child if you want to do those at home. And our usual home learning grids for your learning projects will start again as usual too. So I know it's been really tough with the home learning and trying to keep things going when we're trying to manage houses and, in my case, toddlers and everything else. But please, if at all possible, reading with your child is going to really, really help them to keep making that rapid progress forward, especially at this time. So we will send home more books than we normally would do, so you'll probably have 3 or 4, depending on the age of your child, which you'll then keep for the full week. So they will come home on a Wednesday and they need to be back in on the Wednesday. On the note of things coming to and from school, please allow your child to bring as little as possible as they can to school. So lunch boxes if they're not having hot dinner, water bottle, coats, reading books. We do not need anything else brought into school because that will really help us with managing any potential transmission there. Hand washing is going to continue to be our first line of defence. So children will be asked to sanitise their hands at kind of peak points in the day where we can't all get access to the sink at the same time, but we'll be prompting children to wash their hands with warm water and soap as much as we possibly can. The toilets have been labelled, so 1 sink and 1 toilet for each class, and each class will only allow 1 child into the toilets at a time. There is also a sink with warm water in Sapphire class, so Sapphire class will also be able to wash their hands in the classroom. That means children will be washing their hands 5, 6, 7 times a day, and where staff are able to and feel it's necessary to prompt them to wash them again, they will do that. As I say, hand sanitizer will also be available and provided by school for those key times when we can't get all the children through the toilets at the same time. As all of our children are under 11 years old, they're not recommended or required to wear face coverings at any time. So while they're in school, there'll be no requirement to wear face coverings at all. Staff will not, as a general rule, be wearing face coverings either. However, full PPE is available for staff if they need to administer first aid, give any medication, provide any intimate care to a child. So there may be times when staff wear PPE, but as a general rule in the classrooms, they will not be doing so. That said, staff can choose to wear a face covering if they'd like to. So there may be occasions where staff do have them on, but as I say, on the whole, once you're in the school building, there won't be any PPE visible generally. Children will now need to wear their uniform again, which we're really looking forward to seeing. I've missed those blue jumpers. So children will need to wear their uniforms again at the moment, and we'd just like to remind parents and carers that hair must be tied back if it's kind of shoulder length or longer, just again as a potential contact point, and any earrings need to be removed or covered, particularly on PE days. We will still be changing for PE because children are able to do that within their class bubbles safely, so PE kit will still be required and PE will be outside as much as possible too. PE staff from Blackminster will not be coming down to support us in the short term, just to manage some of the staff transition and movement across. So it will be other members of staff in school delivering PE sessions, but PE kit will still be required. We have got a pack for every child with all of the equipment that they might need: pens, pencils, rubbers, rulers, etc. And to help us to manage the equipment and transitions between home and school, please do not allow your child to bring their own pencil case. We've got them all set up, labelled, ready for each individual child, that will be regularly disinfected, so they do not need to bring any other equipment with them other than water bottles, lunch boxes, coats. If unfortunately a child became unwell with COVID-like symptoms while they're in school, we would remove them from their classroom and take them to another room where we are able to close the door and open some windows as soon as we could. A member of staff would stay with them until you were able to collect, but we do ask that you kind of prepare to need to collect them as quick as possible in that situation. In that case, the child would need to remain at home isolating for 10 days and would need to have a test for COVID. If a member of the household became unwell with symptoms, children need to remain at home in self-isolation for 14 days, as per the standard government guidance at the moment. Obviously, as and when that information changes, we will update you on that as well, but it's the standard 10 days for symptoms, 14 days for anybody in the household, should anybody suffer from high temperature, cough, change of taste, smell, etc. So as I've said, we're really looking forward to having you all back. We've got lots in place from a pastoral point of view as well. We've got a new PSHE programme, which is going to specifically focus on some of the things that we would have experienced through the lockdown, closure of school and COVID, to try and address things for children in an age-appropriate way, but to give them a space to think about it and to gradually reintroduce them to the routines of school. As I said, we're so excited to see you all. I hope this video has been helpful and that the letter is also informative for you. If you have any questions, any concerns ahead of children coming back on Thursday the 3rd, then please do get in touch. My email's on the letter. Class Dojo is available